representing the people of Mwala.
Thank you.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, my name is Judas Mbilindawa, the MCA for Matu Ward and also the leader of my Norwich side. Most welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Catherine, to this vetting process. My name is Joseph Mutisia, the clerk of the assembly, and with me is Dennis Mutui, the deputy clerk legislative. We have the director legal, Mr. Modui, director procedure, Mr. Musioka. We have the in-charge research, Mr. Masila, the in-charge registry, Mr. Kelly. Then I have the clerk assistant, Susan Keluva, clerk assistant, Alison Molonzi. Then we have the researcher, Lewis Moki, then Sanjay Tams, Jonathan Muli. Karibu sana.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Thank you, members, for that introduction. And now I'll turn to the nominee and ask that you tell us your name, place of birth, residence, and experience. And even before you answer that question, introduce the guest you walked in with to us.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, for this opportunity. My name is Catherine Motano Raphael, a resident of Machakos, and accompanying me is my sister, elder sister, Eunice Mwikali. Catherine Motano Raphael was born in Machakos on the 27th of December, 1971. I was actually born just in town here. We used to call it Mjini. Then I went to nursery school, where currently we have the traffic courts. It used to be the County Council of Machakos Nursery School. And I proceeded to Township Muslim Primary School in 1977, where I did my CP in 1983. From there, I proceeded to Mumbuni High School for 4 years, and I qualified to join Makueni Girls for my A-level. From Makueni, I scored well, and I was admitted to the University of Nairobi to undertake a course in Bachelor's of Education, Arts. I was there for 4 years. That was a period that we used to get employed from college. So the TSC found it right that I needed to get a job. They gave me a job and posted me to Kalulini Secondary School. Due to probably what we might be addressing in the course of time, climatic conditions, I didn't stay there for long. I managed to get a transfer, and I went to Makutano Secondary School in Mwala. All the while, Machakos has been my residence, and before I proceed, I'm born of a late father, Raphael Maundu Kiseko, and Agnes Munyiva Raphael. But my mother has apparently retired now and relocated to her home in Ukia. 2004, I trained with an NGO that was undertaking public legal education and human rights issues in schools. At that particular point, the ministry was highly involved in capacity building, but they did not have adequate funding. And there was a program that was being run by the ministry called the KSIP, and capacity building was one of them. So I got trained by the organization Community-Based Development Services, and they spotted talent in me and actually kept on giving me small jobs to retrain other teachers within the county, that time the district, so that we could be able to infuse knowledge amongst the teachers, because the curriculum had just been changed. And we had a new curriculum that had a lot of legal issues. 2005, they advertised for a job of a programs manager. And I was very interested, and I needed to transition. And so I resigned after 12 years experience with the Teacher Service Commission, and I got the new job as a programs manager. Kobades had 4 departments, and I was given to head the region of Nairobi and the metropolis area that touch on Machakos, Kitui, Kiambu, and Nakuru, and Kajiado. I headed that department where we were training teachers, where we were doing community-driven programs, and also having the Constitution of Kenya 2010. By then, we were doing campaigns on constitutional matters. So I interacted a lot on that ground. Then 2016, the country manager at that time retired, and I held brief up to about 2017 of March, where I was interviewed again, and I became the national coordinator in charge of 4 regions. That is Western and Nyanza, Nairobi and Metropolis, Coast Region, and Upper Eastern. Yeah. My work experience in that, in line of duty, I've interacted with donors. I've interacted with very many partners in resource mobilization, advocacy issues. I have traveled to represent the country and also my organizations locally and abroad, conducting meetings, administrative matters, and while on the same, I decided to go back to school in 2017, where I did a master's in public policy and administration. But around that time, my father also got sick, and I didn't have a lot of time, so it took me 7 years to get my master's, and I graduated in 2019, December. 2021, I realized that things are changing and the world was becoming a global village, so I enrolled again for my PhD in public policy and management in Kenyatta University. Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Catherine. I would call upon the next member to put across their question.
Thank you. Catherine, could you share with us how your first experience relates to the position you've been nominated to?
Through the chair, thank you. I come from a point where I have been a teacher, a qualified graduate teacher. My experience also dealing with civil society organizations, the NGO world and partners. That means there's so much talent I can be able to bring to Machakos County, transform and translate. I'm very good in policy matters, and I believe most of the things that we need to check from where I sit are policy issues. So I will be very much willing to adopt the same.
Thank you. You've been nominated to the Department of Water, and that's a very serious department. What are you planning to do to address the issue of water in Machakos County?
Through the chair, thank you. Right now, as we speak, we have what is called climate action. The world is becoming, we have global warming internationally. This is not just a matter that affects Machakos. But getting back to where we are, because we must get local solutions for local problems, within the Ministry of Water, the Department of Water, and working with the technocrats who already exist in that department, because there are people who are already there and have been working there, we need to come together and see what can be done in terms of drawing a master plan, a new master plan to see on new sources of water, how we can be able to harness those new sources of water, because I think what still we are using are the traditional methods. And there's so much, the traditional methods have been affected by global warming. However, in terms of other areas like in Machakos town, you realize that there's water that was already existing. And there's water that was drawn in Machakos town from Nolturesh. Apparently, within the town, the Machakos town constituency, we can say that has had a great impact, because it is a political situation that has made Machakos miss that water. So what I'll be willing to do in that is to seek guidance from my governor and also advice in terms of policy, that she can be able to sit with the other governor. This is the governor of Kajiado and the governor of Makueni, to be able to see how we manage that. In other areas, we will need to find solutions. Most of the solutions are local solutions, like having dams, having weirs in the hilly areas, and also in areas where we cannot have the dams, then we go ahead and we drill boreholes, cost-effective boreholes that are solarized for that purpose, because electricity is also expensive. And I will not miss to say that there are methodologies that were used in 1970s about having gabions in the local areas. It will be very imperative that communities are also trained on the same. Thank you.
Thank you. What is your dream of vision for the county as for matters concerning climate change?
My vision is actually having a green Machakos again. If you've go through media, however much you say that it's a global issue, we must make Machakos green again. we must actually be able to rely on green technology because of where we lie, and it is possible. We must have a vision that changes our town, and this is very possible. What I'll be able to do is, when I look at the Machakos Climate Act of 2014, which has already not been operationalized, there's so much that we are missing in terms of what we are supposed to unlock to be able to get like donor funding. Right now, there's a lot of donor funding for climate change, but Machakos cannot be able to benefit. Why is it that we don't benefit? It is because we do not have what is called a county climate change board. What Machakos has had was a county climate steering committee that was not gazetted, and I was supposed to have been chaired by the deputy governor. Several departments chaired by the deputy governor. Okay, from where we sit and in official matters, we'll know that probably there's no loyalty. There wouldn't be much coercing of the ministers or of the CECs who are not coerced much to attend those meetings by the previous deputy governor. But however, if we can be able to adopt, and that is one of the work of the CEC of the county, if given this opportunity, that I would be willing to do, forming that climate change board. Once we have that board, it means the county Ministry of Finance has to adopt a 2% funding for climate action in the county. And by that, then we'll be able to have donors on board. Without that, we cannot unlock any potential in climate change. We'll only have to deal with small fundings that cannot make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well answered. I wishing you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, members. Could I have the next member putting across the questions?
Yes, Madam Catherine. In your CV, you indicated one of your strengths is community mobilization. How would you tap on that strength on matters environmental pollution?
Pollution, like climate change, is still another global problem. But however, for our case situation, because we are talking about communities, where I come from, I believe in communities having their own solutions to their own problems, involving people in their own development and things that they do. About the communities, because pollution is we're going to have air, water, and soil pollution. We need to actually have the enforcement of national policy laws together with the NEMA, and also involve the communities in training. Apparently, there must be ownership even in these rules and regulations that we enforce by having people being given civic education about what these rules are and what are their personal responsibilities in terms of that. Because pollution does not just occur, it is cause. It's a cause situation that can be averted.
Many a times, if you agree with me, pollution is a result of what I call tragedy of the common. Because it is government, people seem not to know that the effects are to the people and not to the government. Would you agree with that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, member. Could I have the next member?
Yes, Madam Catherine.
Yes, Pashingo.
Do you know some of the water companies which are owned by Machakos County government?
Through the chair, thank you. I want to say that Machakos has quite a number of water companies. We have the Machakos Water and Sewer Company, which is Machasco. We have the Mavoko Water and Sewer Company, Mavasco. We have Yata Masinga Water and Sanitation Company. We have Kangundo Matungulu Water and Sanitation Company, and we have the Mwala Water and Sanitation.
Good.
Yeah.
From the previous reports from the Auditor General, it came out that the companies are losing a lot of resources through unmetered water and other factors. If given the position, what will you do to ensure that does not happen?
Thank you very much, through the chair. Let me say that once you're given the opportunity and you are able to draw a master plan, those are some of the issues that will be tackled in the master plan. However, we must also realize that most of the sources of water, like I said, in Machakos, are traditional methods. The piping is old. We have a lot of complaints. Being a resident of this area, I really understand what water problem is, Because like if you look at the Maruba Dam, it has perennial power shortages. Then that means we need to make an intervention. If you look at the Ndarugu Dam that was supposed to supply water to Mwala, stalled because we did not have political goodwill. Our governor is really geared to having Machakos people have water. So we would want to unlock that political goodwill. We would want our governor to go and see what is it that missed that our people have not, this project has not been able to get completed. We have the one that is in Matu, the last mile connectivity. What has happened? Probably still nothing happening much, but from the manifesto of our Governor, Excellency Wavinya Kuthungululwa, we will be able to come up and follow why those projects are not complete, what we can be able to do, and the interventions that are needed. We also want to say that there are dams that need to be fenced because others are also being degraded by human activity, especially Maruba and others. And also reforestation. We have the Kenya Forest Services in Machakos that we do not want to blame them because they are not here to defend themselves. But if you're in this town at night, you realize that there's a lot of timber, a lot of tree cutting that is crisscrossing this town. Every day we have stocks of timber that are piled up. We need to educate our people on new methods of use in terms of construction other than timber. Reforestation is really one of the key issues that we would want to do. Coming up with the policies where we could even be able to supply trees to our people, and also working together with the members of the county assembly. I am aware from where I sit that we have an environment committee here. That environment committee in the assembly is to work for the people of Machakos. The work of the CEC, environment, water, irrigation, is just the people of Machakos. So we can be able to combine. We can be able to combine and go to the people, educate them. And like I keep saying, people need civic education. People need to be trained. People need to be told the importance of public participation, such that once they are aware, then in terms of program and the project privatization, they can be able to ask for the right projects. Because during the time of the CIDP, you realize that people go to public participations and the young men will ask for stadiums, yet there's no water at home. So we need to educate these people to make the right choices. And by that, the water situation is going to improve.
Thank you, and maybe the last question from myself, from
Yes.
my side.
Yeah.
If appointed, maybe you are given that appointment tomorrow, what will you do to ensure that the problems that we are having of water shortage in our towns do not persist? In other words, as you are a resident of Machakos and you know the situation, if you given that position tomorrow, what measures will you take to ensure now before the time of rain, people are not suffering?
Through the chair, thank you. And like I said, where Machakos town lies, the only solution would be boreholes and actually desilting the dams that are already in existence, and also working hand in hand with the water companies and other stakeholders, the national government. And by that, because we are talking about a year that has 12 months, 6 months are dry, 6 months have rainfall. But apparently out of climate action, you realize it's like we have 9 months dry and 3 months with rainfall. So we have to get new methods. We have to look at how we construct tanks for our people. However much, we've had a policy that is called the free water policy. We would really have to get back to the people in public participation and see whether it really works. The free water policy is probably what today has made our market in Marikiti here not have water. 60 years after independence, still relying on water to be brought in Buzas. So we also have to look at that, because sometimes you think that I feel there could be sabotage. We need to sit down and see whether it is sabotage, whether it is the staff that are not working, whether it is the policies, and once we put all these measures in place, I assure you Machakos will have water.
Okay. Lastly, I need to wish you all the best. So
Thank
that
you, sir.
If you are appointed, kindly ensure, as we talk now, a 20-liter gel can of water in Matu is trending as 50 shillings. And life is not all that smooth. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Maybe just for clarification, Catherine,
Yes,
you've talked about free water policy. How does it work?
Actually, the free water policy doesn't work because it's expensive to maintain from the county government of Machakos, because if you have to have a boozer on the road that is taking water to residents, how much water is going to be enough for our homestead? That boozer has to be maintained. That water is going to be bought from the county government. And sometimes there are red tapes and bureaucracies on access of that water. Other boozers, we don't even know, because it could be hard to monitor these boozers and where they get waters, because staff are staff. So if you have to give that water, the big question why I'm saying it doesn't work is because how much is enough water for a homestead, and how much can you provide for free? So if the county government could come up with locations, drill boreholes, and then people are given these projects to run, or we empower the stakeholders, the water companies, at particular rates that are low enough for the common people to afford, that would work.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Chairman.
Members, could I have the next member proceed?
Mutanu, I have a question for you. We are a very arid area in Machakos. And one of the promises we continue giving our people is that we are going to give them water. I want you to tell me in a very simple way, do you think you have what it takes to resolve this problem once and for all?
Thank you, Chair. I believe the county government of Machakos, I believe with Her Excellency Wavinya, I believe with the right policies in place and the people taking care of what belongs to the other people, that is county budgets and resources, will be able to provide. Because we'll dig dams, we'll dig boreholes, we'll provide wares, we'll encourage people to plant trees. Those that can't afford, when you talk about a tree, we don't mean it's a tree that just has leaves. We could plant fruit trees, we could plant avocados, we could plant zambaraus. Growing up in this town, we'll see these kind of trees. Where are they? They are not there anymore. So we'll encourage that, and once we've done that, and I believe getting into the right place in terms of climate action, then we'll be able to change. And let me add and say, Honorable Member, that remember the President the other day announced that there were going to be 100 dams. What's our niche in those dams? We have our Honorable Governor, who is aggressive enough to see that Machakos gets water, and would advise that we go for our niche in terms of accessing the 5 billion trees for 5 years, or 10 billion trees for 10 years, and our 100 dams. Because we believe all those dams cannot be taken all over. There are some areas that are actually fighting climate change in terms of making sure that they have so much water that they don't need the dams. So we would advise our governor that we go for our niche from the national government.
Actually, you've answered my second question, which was about how will you work with the national government to ensure that we resolve the water issues. You answered that. Now, I come from Mwala, and our people are dying of cancer because of the river Athi having been polluted. You, in your docket, how will you help our people?
Through the chair, thank you. The question of Athi River, remember, starts right from the cities, Kajiado, Nairobi, it goes downstream. Looking at the history, we realize that even points that were of tourism attraction, like the 14 Falls, have been affected by the same. Many factories in Nairobi, because this is not just our course, in as much as we course it probably through Mavoko and other areas, you realize there's so much affluent that has been discharged into the river. And this is the river that comes to Mwala. It's full of hazardous wastes. And by this, and looking at reports from UN Habitat, so much has been done. Probably it is the enforcement level, it is enforcement mechanisms that have been lacking. And I think getting into the climate change, getting into climate action will be able to untap this, and we'll be able to have a clean river again. Because growing up would look at rivers and you'd see your picture in the river. You can no longer see a river, you can no longer see a picture of yourself in those rivers. They are no longer rivers, they are no longer clean waters. They are all just sewer lines. So we have to work around in our holistic, together with the national government, together with the partners, the investors, because it is costs. And out of that, that's why we have the results of cancer and health issue. So we'll have to invoke together with other departments on how to alleviate this.
Yes, my other question is, actually Machakos receives a lot of rain. It's not that we are arid area. We receive a lot of rain. It's only that it is not continuous. you, in your docket, how will you capitalize on God's given opportunity of rain to ensure that we resolve the water issue?
Through the chair, allow me to say, given the opportunity, like I have said, if we construct dams, huge dams, because like Machakos has had a big problem, Machakos town itself has had a big problem in terms of the Miwongone Dam, which is very key in provision of water in this area. But out of politics, out of compensation and land issues, then you realize it has taken quite a long time for it to be resolved. So one of the things is working with Warma, and in areas where there are problems together with the national government, we do not really need to be a litigious society in terms of solving problems. We can use negotiation, we can use arbitration, mediation, such that by the time these issues get to that level, then it is beyond us. But for the program that the governor has already started, and we've been seeing it, having dams, desilting dams, and actually having new dams and access to the 100 dams is really going to take us somewhere.
You left something on rainwater harvesting. In your docket, how will you ensure that we maximize on rainwater harvesting?
Yeah, rainwater harvesting can be done through several ways, because even the water that comes from the rain still flows. It's apparently the fact that we've had floods and the next day it's dry and we have no water and we are looking for water. We must be able to work across and see how we get this water by having what I'm calling and insisting called the dams, by having the weighers, and also the provision of tanks for the people. Remember, we have a lot of buildings here. They have roofs. Where does that water go when it rains? We need to tap that water. And we also need to work with the water users associations so that we may be able to actually equip our people with water.
Yes, my last question is on budgets. Have you done some research on the budgets available in your department?
Currently, no. What I know is that there are huge budgets and they're in the process of budgeting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but once there, I think it's something that I really want to be hands-on in terms of budget, because anytime you talk about budgets and you talk to people concerned with water, they tell you there's low funding, and you also keep asking how much is more funding, what is needed. And the cost of living has also gone up, the dollar and all this, so we'll be able to look into the budget process.
Okay, my last question is on the equipment. The county has quite a number of equipment which is grounded. What plans will you have for, if you are given that docket, on equipment which is not operational, including rigs which are actually grounded?
Through the chair, thank you. Sometimes it is good to speak when you are right inside, because out of what is out here, we see, and any time that we pass through those areas and garages, we realize there's a lot of equipment that is lying idle. We realize there's a lot of equipment that you're told is unused. We have rigs that you're told are not working. So for me, our governor found it fit when she was inaugurated, and she found that there was so much waste in terms of the equipment that was in the departments. And in the same, she came up with a task force to look into the number of motor vehicles that were bought, the number of motor vehicles that are usable, and the number of motor vehicles that can be discharged. To me, I would want to operate with modern equipment. So looking at that equipment together with the engineers and the technocrats, I'll be able to see whether these machines are viable for our area. And sometimes you look at it in what companies are doing, whether it is cheap to hire or it's cheap to contract than keeping equipment that needs servicing, that there's a lot of theft of spares and all this. So this is an aspect that needs to be handled holistically.
Very well answered. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Just a clarification again, Catherine, on,
Yes,
on the issue of rainfall water harvesting for domestic use. You said that you'll ensure that there's provisions of water tanks. How do you intend to achieve that?
Through the chair, thank you. If you come from where I come from, that is the NGO world, you realize that it is very possible. it's doable. There are companies that are willing to partner with Machakos County government in provision of affordable water tanks. There are people who partner with the county government of who can partner with the county government of Machakos and even train women how to make water tanks. So this is very possible. Yes, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Could I have the next member? Yes.
Okay, Waziri
Mheshimiwa.
Mutanu,
Yes,
listening
madam.
at you, you have good plans for Machakos County.